Hey, how's it going? This is Mike from M&R Automotive. Today we have a 2021 and up Ford F-150 and we're installing one or two 30-inch light bars. First step, pop the hood. We're going to go ahead and remove the top mat, and the way you do it is just with a pry tool, and we're going to take out some of these push pins. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and remove these four 10mm screws. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and remove the electrical components. So we have this plug. All you do is just press on the tab and pull up. And same thing for this one, there is a little tab here. I'm going to pry it with a screwdriver. And pull it up. We're going to go ahead and release the harness from the grill, so that way we can remove it. Okay, so I think the whole top is already completed. Now we got to take out the bottom trim piece in order to release the bottom bolts. So if you follow me here, there's two Phillips screws. We're going to go ahead and remove them. Now that we released the bolts, we're going to go ahead and pry this open. Everything else should just be clips. There you go. Kind of just and kind of walk with me. I'll show you on the other side. So just pry. And now we have the bottom trim off. Go ahead and remove the two side bolts. These are 5/16. Now let's take off the grill. Bam, bam, bam. Super simple. Now we're going to go ahead and remove these four bolts that are securing both halves of the grill together. And we have a couple more push pins on the bottom and on top of these that we need to release as well. And there's also a couple of push pins all around the two halves that we need to remove as well. There's a couple more on top. And there's one more in the middle, and this one is 5/16. The only thing that's keeping these two halves together are these clips. You just push into them. Okay, and this is the last one. now that we have all the clips on the bottom off, we're gonna go ahead and pry the two sides. Show you guys how the brackets look like and the type of brackets that you're gonna get with your kits. You will get either one pair or two pairs of light bar brackets based on the package that you ordered. I already installed the top one. All you can see is that I threaded through the sides and put it through the eyelids of the mounting bolts. After we're finished, the second half of the grill assembly is going to clamp it down, and it's going to be nice and tight. And for the bottom one, notice there's a rail system so you can maneuver it up and down. If you want it to be on this side, all you have to do is swap the brackets from left to right, so that way the rail is on the top portion. Ford does have over 11 different grills for the F-150, so this is a universal product and will allow you to have more maneuverability with the railing. For the XLT grill, we're gonna go ahead and mount it on this opening for our light to shine through. So let me show you how I do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finger thread the light. Okay. Do the same thing on the other side. The beauty of these mounts is the fact that there's a rail system and you can move the light bar on the rail system into multiple positions. So depending the type of grill you have, you can raise it or lower it to fit your needs. If you want to go a little bit more inward, you're gonna have to flip the brackets. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this to show you an example. There are certain things that are limiting how low you can go, such as this plastic piece. You could trim it down, and that way you can maneuver the light bar even lower. But as you can see it here, it's interfering from the light bar. The light bar mount still has plenty of rail left, but this inner piece doesn't allow it to slide down. So if you trim this inner piece, it's made out of plastic, then you can slide it down even further. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and install these light bars for this particular grill. So I am going to align the rail looking upwards. The only thing I messed up on this install is the wiring is supposed to come out on this side because the battery is closer to it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this light bar around. Okay, now that we have these set, we're going to go ahead and install the second part of the grill, and we're going to go ahead and clamp it down. We're going to go ahead and re-thread the bolts that we've taken out during the disassembly process. That's going to tighten down the position where the light bars are located, and if we're happy with the alignment, we're going to go ahead and reinstall the grill back onto the truck. So now let's go ahead and see if we like the alignment of how the light bars are installed, and if we're happy with it, we're going to go ahead and install it on the truck. I think we did pretty good with how they're shining through the grill. So this one's ready to go back onto the vehicle. So when installing it back on the vehicle, you want to make sure that the wiring is on the passenger side next to the battery. I want to show you guys how I install it. Grab the wires, run them by the side, and then follow the steps we've taken in the previous steps when disassembling the grill to put it back together, and we're ready for wiring. Cool, let's talk about wiring. For this installation, we're going to use a generic light bar wiring harness. I will put a link into the description of this video. It does come with a remote, so the advantage is that we're not going to have to drag the button of the remote of the wiring harness inside the cab through the firewall. If you choose to do so, great. I want to get a nice easy install, so that way I can just turn it on and off with a wireless remote. So let's go through the wiring harness, what it consists of. So it does have a relay, and it has 3 wires coming out of the relay. Here's a fuse holder, a positive and a negative for the battery. And then one of the longer wires, let me see where this one goes. This one's gonna go to the light bars themselves. So we're gonna connect both of them. There's a positive and a negative. We're gonna go ahead and fuse them both and connect them to red and black. And then the second long wire from the relay, that's gonna be our wireless remote. So the way it goes, there's a clip here. We are going to disconnect the button since we're not gonna be using it, so we can go ahead and unplug it. If you choose to, you can go ahead and take this button inside the cab, but we're not gonna have to worry about it because we're gonna do it with a wireless remote. So let me show you how I wire it up. Okay, so now the first thing we're gonna do is connect the positive and negative. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a little opening so that way I don't have to take off the bolt entirely from the terminal. So I'm gonna clip off a little piece of this. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this nut. I'm gonna slide the positive terminal underneath it. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it back up. So now that we connected the positive on the positive terminal, we're gonna do the same thing on the negative. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this under and tighten it back up. Alright, so now we have the two light bars. It comes with a positive and a negative wire. The positive is the red, the negative is the black. We're gonna go ahead and fuse the two blacks together and the two reds, and we're gonna connect them to our harness. If you're only installing one light bar, you don't need to fuse anything. You can just proceed at connecting the light bar straight to the harness. So I'm gonna crimp our connector. On the positive and the negative. And now this is ready to get connected to the actual harness. So now we're going to go ahead and connect it. Because the connections are a little different, we're going to go ahead and take off. I'm going to cut these off. I'm going to go ahead and strip them. So now we're going to go ahead and connect red to red and black to black. It's fairly simple. So connect it and crimp it. Same thing on the black. Okay, so now let's go ahead and test it out. So just to summarize everything, positive and negative on the battery. We fused the two light bars together and everything should be good. So let's go ahead and test it out, see if it works. Look at that. And we can turn it on and off with the buttons on the keypad. There's also other features like a strobing feature that we can incorporate. And there's the fast strobe. So, and then on for a constant on. So now we're gonna go ahead and clean this mess up. We're gonna use some shrink wrap, we're gonna use some zip ties, put it in the engine bay. We don't have to drag any wires inside the vehicle. And we're gonna test it out with some night output videos. So stay tuned and watch our other video. Thank you very much for watching.